In YouTube, Carbelch here. Today I'm going to show you how to make this tiny flashlight that's small enough to fit in a wallet. It's a pretty simple little project. Anyone should be able to do it. All you need is a little Thill Nite Bright replacement battery. These are used to power light up fishing bobbers. You can usually find these at most major sporting goods stores. If you can't find the refill by itself, they also come in packages like this. And basically it's a little battery and light bulb together. Second, you'll need some heat shrink tubing. I picked this up at my local Walmart, but you can get it at Radio Shack or any kind of electronic store, hardware stores as well. And then lastly, you'll need a bobby pin. So it's actually pretty easy to put together. First of all, I'll kind of show you how it works, and then I'll show you how to make it. This simple little flashlight is small enough to clip into the fold of a wallet. I'll show you here on my Spec Ops the Wallet Junior. This is a pretty cool new wallet I just added to my EDC system. I'll be doing a review on it pretty soon. It's a little large, but overall I like it. Anyway, you can see there it pretty easily clips into the wallet, and usually if you clip it into the fold, you can fold the wallet up, and it's small enough it doesn't affect the wallet's closure at all. So it's pretty easy to open it up, take it out. I'm sure this will work with a checkbook or a purse or anything like that as well, but this is the example that I use for it. So this little flashlight's kind of cool. All you do is simply press the end in and it lights up. As you can see, this one's red. They come in different colors. The other one here is going to be green. They have yellow and a couple other things. I find the red to be the brightest that I've had experience with. They estimate an average of 20 hours of runtime, which I can definitely say they easily last that long. So let me turn off the light here a little bit and give you an idea of the brightness. You see, it's decently bright. It's not something that's going to, replace a full-size flashlight. Turn off the other light. There we go. You can see the full brightness. It's definitely bright enough to read by. You can see there my squirt in the background, or it's at the fishing bobber. So it lights up fairly well. So it's certainly good for, finding your keys or something like that, or, backup in case you don't have anything else on you. So I keep this in my wallet, so if I just need to have a flashlight, I always have one accessible, and they simply pull the little part there on the end out to turn the light off. So let's go ahead and show you how to make it. First of all, I'm going to go ahead and open up the little bobber here, or the little bobber replacement battery. They call it a battery, but it actually has the little LED on the end. You can see it's already attached, so even without any of the covering, if I just press in, that turns on, and then you simply pull out and it turns off. So I'm going to grab a piece of heat shrink tubing. You're going to need a little bit larger diameter heat shrink tubing than you'd first imagine. Remember, this stuff shrinks down to 1/3 of its size. So you have to make sure that you can slip both the bobby pin and the little battery into these tubing before you start shrinking it down. And last of all, have a bobby pin. So if you take a look at the little light here, you can see this little indentation on it right there. And I usually like to index the little round end of the bobby pin into that hole. It kind of adds some slip proofing and makes it a little bit more stable. So first of all, let's cut the heat shrink tubing to length. Oh, and I forgot to mention, you also need something to heat the tubing with. I'm just using a standard lighter. You can also use a heat gun or a soldering iron, or even a hairdryer will work. So I'm going to take the heat shrink tubing here and kind of line it up with the tubing and kind of just cut it roughly. It won't matter too much. I like to leave a little bit of excess just so it shrinks down over the end, so that you kind of get a little bit better grip on it so it doesn't try to slide on you. Let's use my Squirt PS4 scissors here real quick. And you can see on this one I made it a little bit long there so that it kind of hangs over the end. What that does, it gives a little bit of strength this way. So I recommend leaving it a little bit long like that. Next, what I like to do, and this is just kind of a juggling act getting these all lined up, but it's pretty straightforward. Usually put the tubing on in the bobby pin, put the PS4 out of the way here so it's not distracting. And then I like to line up that little dot I showed you with the end of the bobby pin right there, the little bulge in the end of the bobby pin. Kind of see how it's lined up there. I like to try to cover most of the metal. However, you don't want to cover up the gap completely, because the little gap here between the metal and the plastic is necessary for the light to turn on and off. That gap's going to actually press in. So if you close in like that, so you don't want to shrink it down in between the metal and the plastic, but right on the edge of the metal is perfect. So I take your time and get it lined up pretty well. You know, you don't want it to look sloppy, and I definitely think it helps to index into that little hole. And usually what I do is just kind of get the end where I want to and start shrinking it down. Now make sure if you're using something like a lighter not to burn the tubing, because it only shrinks so far and then it'll start actually burning. So you want to just kind of not touch it with the flame, because that's a real easy way to burn it. Just keep the flame, you know, about a 1/4 inch away like you see me doing there, and just start shrinking the tubing on. And then once the end is kind of shrunk on like that, it becomes real easy just to go ahead and shrink the rest. But there again, don't get carried away and go too fast, because if you burn this tubing, it'll produce black smoke and get kind of shiny and nasty looking. So I take my time and keep the flame away from the tubing, just kind of close to it but not on it, and let it shrink down. Once you see it stop shrinking down, definitely stop heating it, because you don't want it to get too hot. It'll melt, like I said. So you gotta be careful the lighter gets a little hot doing this. And kind of shrink the top. The one problem with doing it with a lighter like this is it's kind of easy to burn things, including yourself and the tubing. So I recommend using a heat gun, but this was just more convenient than getting my heat gun out. Now you can see a tiny little bit of smoke there. It's because I got the end just a little bit too hot. I don't know if you can see that there. It kind of, let's see if I can get my camera to focus a little better. Kind of got the end a little too hot, so it made it a little bit shiny. But you can see it settled pretty nicely into that little gap. I'm just going to run over the top one more time to make sure that it's all shrunk down. This was about 1/4 inch diameter tubing that we started off with. Let me grab the other piece of it here. You can see it's about 1/4 inch tubing, and it shrinks easily down to cover this entire little light. And so the tubing cools off almost instantly. So once it's cool, it's pretty solid. You know, you could definitely pull this pin out of it if you try too hard, but it'll stay in there, and it gives you something to, you know, attach this to a pocket or something like that. Because that's the problem with just a little battery by itself, is it kind of tends to get lost because it's, you know, kind of small. So the nice thing about the Bobbie pin is that it gives you a way to clip it onto things, and a little bit of a handle to work with. So if you press, remember, just press in right there, you can see it's green. And I'll turn off the lights one more time for you, so you can see the green. There we go. And you definitely get the red one out here real quick and show you it's not quite as bright as the green. You see the red's a lot brighter than the green is. Now keep in mind the human eye is much more sensitive to green, so yeah, if you're looking for something survivally, the green might signal further, but the red ones are definitely a lot brighter. So the other nice thing about red is it doesn't affect your night vision. So if you're doing it for night reading or anything like that, if you're like reading a map in the dark in your car, you're definitely going to be better off with the red. So just compare those again one more time side by side. You can see the red's a lot brighter. I haven't tried the other colors. The red and the green are the only ones that I've really gone with. But you know, the red's definitely a lot brighter. So that is how you make a micro wallet-sized flashlight. One little thing about these, unfortunately the battery isn't replaceable. The battery and the light are kind of one unit, so you know, they are disposable. So after 20 hours you're pretty much have a dead flashlight. But they range about, you know, I'd say I picked this one up for $5 for the refill by itself, and with the bobber it was about $7. And the Bobbie pins are extremely expensive. The pack of 45 was 98 cents, and the heat shrink tubing, if you're like me, you probably have some around for electronics projects and things like that, and this is probably just a few pennies worth of heat shrink tubing. So overall, this project cost you less than 10 bucks, probably closer to 5, and it's kind of a nice little backup. I carry one in my wallet, and I was just making a new one because my last one, the batteries finally died on you, so I thought I'd show you how to do it. Anyway, I definitely appreciate it if you'd subscribe and like, and I would definitely like to hear any comments you have. Thanks again.